What's up, podcast listeners? It is your host, Rafal Matuszewski, and I am bringing back another vlog podcast thing that I do. And today's topic, because I got some great insight from a book that I'm reading, we're going to chat about binge eating. And I've brought this whole topic up before on my show a couple times. And it's something that always reoccurs and pops up on my radar because I have a lot of people that will ask me my opinion on the topic as they know or have seen posts that I've put up about binge eating, or the fact that I've had my own issues with binge eating in the past, not so much now, but I think the big thing that I wanted to bring up is, like, if you look at the history of humankind, and we go back, way back to when we were categorized as Homo sapiens, when, we would go out to the forests and hunt and gather whatever we could for food to survive. We had this natural instinct that, say you saw a delicious fig tree and no animal or other human being has touched it yet, you will for sure, in that present moment, eat as much as possible to ensure that no animal would come by and, tear that tree to bits and eat everything and have you starve for another day or however long it's been since you last ate. So inherently we have this thing in our subconscious that when we see food that is delicious and we haven't had it in a long time, we naturally want to instinctively eat as much as possible to a point where we're stuffed, to ensure that we get our fill. And I think, and again, this is just all personal opinion, but it makes sense to me that, our ancestors used to do that for survival, and now we have that same DNA, this coded message in our brain that when we see foods that don't normally pop up on our radar, that are delicious, sweet, salty, savory, whatever it is, we have this tendency just to devour as much as possible, because who knows when the next time you're going to walk by and see a delicious fig tree filled and no one has touched it yet. Now, that worked really great to survive because, probably the next day you're not going to see another, fig tree with that much food on it. So it might be a couple days before you eat that kind of a big of a feast. And with the daily caloric deficit you would have from not eating and also being active, our Homo sapien ancestors probably were able to binge and have no, shitty side effects as we do nowadays and stay overweight and unhealthy. So that being said, we are fighting like human nature not to binge, and no wonder how fucking hard it is to stop binge eating, especially when we have food in abundance. Like, literally, you can go on your phone and order food from your favorite restaurant and have some other person deliver it to you, and you can eat as much as possible. Like, you can literally go through a drive-through and order like $50 worth of food that most people wouldn't even be able to finish, but you can just go to town on that thing. It's so easily accessible. And now let's throw in some more environmental stressors that, our Homo sapien ancestors didn't have, other than holy shit, there's a leopard right in front of me now, I gotta run for my fucking life. And that just magnifies your tendency to binge. we have everything against us in this world today when it comes to food and controlling our food intake, and we wonder why weight loss is so difficult, right? It's just interesting to me that this was encoded in our brain deep inside, that when we see delicious food, we just have this tendency to overeat. And I think if we can acknowledge that it's just part of our human nature to do something like that, that's when we can get a little bit more self-control. And literally, this is what I've done for myself when dealing with binge eating, right? First step is just awareness. Like, accept the fact that you do this, and then try to find the reason why you keep doing this. I think a lot of times people overthink this whole binge eating thing because they, one, don't take time to reflect on it. And literally, that's the only thing you need to do. Like, literally sit down and ask yourself, why do I binge eat? And see what you can come up with for answers. Sometimes it can be really simple. Sometimes it'll take you a couple hours to get into the deep root cause. Because really, how often in your day, say in the last month, have you sat down with no interruption of your phone, your laptop, your TV, or any work or anything else, and you just sat there with your own thoughts and pondered whatever came through your head? I'm pretty sure everyone listening right now has not done this. And I don't even remember the last time I've done it. Because I'm constantly doing shit, stimulating my brain. I maybe do that like the 30 seconds before I fall asleep really hard before the next day. Like, that's probably the only time I do that. And that's where the magic happens. And this is why most people will go to a counselor, a therapist, and they ask the questions that make you think. We can ask those same questions as long as we're open to taking time for ourselves and realizing how crucial that is to our mental health. You know, this whole food thing in general, when it comes to people trying to lose weight, is connected to such a deeper level than what we think. A lot of people think this whole weight loss and fat loss thing is such a superficial thing, but in reality, it is so deep rooted into our very soul that if you don't work on the shit that goes inside your brain, it's never gonna change. So I think my challenge to everyone listening that's battling with, emotional eating, binge eating, just weight loss in general, take a second to actually sit down and be with yourself, be in your conscious self, and start asking the right questions. I know it's a very broad thing that I just brought up, but that's honestly, I think, the key to this, like the acceptance of what's going on with your life, and you're the only thing in this world where you can control. Everything else, the exterior of what's happening to you, you have no control over. But what goes on inside your head is the one thing you can control. When we lose sight of that, we lose all of our influence on the external world that we're in. So I'm going to end it there because I feel like that was a good place to end it. I went really, really deep on this one, and I love podcast episodes like that where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to talk about binge eating, put some steps together, but no, I just go right into it. So I'm going to finish there. Hopefully this was helpful and eye-opening. I love you guys for always supporting me. Hit the show notes of this podcast episode. Add me on Facebook. Add me on Instagram because I post a lot of video and picture and written stuff that you don't get to see because you're either listening or watching me talk. Thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Until next time.